to Scoundrels Inc., another Star Wars podcast. I am Frank Janish, and this week we have the lovely Hollywood Hannah, Brandon Hannah, here this week. No Kevin this week. He'll be joining us. He'll come back next week. And until then, we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch Season 3 trailer drop. It's finally our turn to talk about it. Everybody else has talked about it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to discuss it and give our predictions on what we think is going to happen in the coming season, and get into some of the spicy details, and including that Asajj Ventress thing that popped up at the end of the trailer. We'll get into that a little bit as well. Yeah, it happened. We're going to figure out how it all works. But before we get into all of that, if this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button on the channel. We finally passed 600 subscribers, so congratulations to us and to you for joining us. And then if you want to hit like on the video as well, just preemptively hit like. I guarantee it, you're going to like it. And then leave a comment down below, because I'm curious what everyone else out there thinks. What is the most impactful death in Star Wars? I think we might be doing that next week or in the next couple of weeks, but I want to know what you guys out there have to say. So leave a comment down below on what you think is the most impactful death in Star Wars. And then, of course, you can follow us all on the socials, at our apps. Links in the description for all those apps that you use. And then, of course, the podcast feed and all that. Funny thing about the podcast feed, Brandon,
yes.
if you might have noticed that... well, first, before I get to that, you'll notice I'm in a different location. I should start off with that. I'm in a different location. I am standing in this location. I recently got a work opportunity to go work up in San Francisco, and they're putting me up in a hotel and all that stuff. It's very nice. It's not quite a vacation because I have to go to work out here, but it's been pretty nice. And and I forgot the cord to connect my camera, which I usually record with. So right now, the video is being done through my iPhone, which connects pretty well with the StreamYard that how we're recording this. Connects pretty well, and so I had to really rig up a thing to hold my phone, because I didn't bring anything to hold my phone to record. So it's literally on like a power strip thing, like one of those square ones, and it's nestled between like two things that are it's a whole contraption. Maybe I'll put the picture in the Discord, but yeah, so I'm up here.
How's the wings up there, Frank? You
know what, I got Wingstop a couple of times, because Uber Eats had like a 60% discount, so I had let me do it twice. I think it was for my birthday thing, but I got Wingstop twice with 60% discount, so I only paid like $15, including delivery. So it's pretty good. And I got mango habanero, obviously. Got to get the mango habanero. How are the wings down there? Are they still the same, Brandon?
Have I had any wings recently? I don't know that I have, actually. I've had some mediocre gluten-free pizza.
Well, is there any other good gluten-free pizza? I doubt it.
There's some good ones out there. Down in Kevin's neck of the woods, there's a pretty good place.
Okay.
I had some In-N-Out today.
They got that up here too, you know.
Yeah.
But I haven't had it. I had Shake Shack actually today. I had Shake Shack, so
nice.
Not bad.
They have a better protein style, like lettuce wrapped burger, in my opinion, than
In-N-Out. Okay. I actually never tried In-N-Out or Shake Shack, and I don't think I really need to. But that's just me. As I mentioned before, the podcast feed. Yeah, subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Also, if you use Google Music or YouTube Music, whatever it is, this podcast is on that thing. So, like, YouTube started doing this thing with the RSS feed, and on YouTube and YouTube Music and all that. So, it's like, hey, another place to put our show. Of course, make it accessible to as many people as possible. That's kind of like the idea. And so I did that. And then one of the options was like, we're going to take all the episodes from your podcast RSS feed and put it up onto your channel. And then don't worry, it's not going to be public. You can look at it and review it how you want it, and then hit publish when you're ready. I was like, okay, cool. Because the last thing I wanted was like 80 videos going out onto our channel, like super publicly, and being pushed out there into like subscription boxes and stuff like that. And so it let me do this unlisted option. I was like, great. And then I could, it wouldn't get pushed. But when you hit publish on this, when it all finally uploads, you can hit publish. It automatically kind of overrides your previous setting and makes everything public. And in our Discord, we have a bot that automatically updates in our Discord when we publish a new episode of the show, and it automatically does it in Discord, and you get notified on it. What I didn't realize was that even though I had prevented YouTube from pushing it on the YouTube side, I didn't realize that the bot was still going to recognize that as new episodes and then pump a notification out to everyone in our Discord. By the way, link in the description for the Discord. But what ended up happening was like 80 notifications went to everyone in the Discord because it added everyone that a new thing came out. And just for I think a solid minute straight, just ding, 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 ding. It was quite a time in the Discord, Brandon.
Yeah, I had my phone set to vibrate, so I thought it was happening so rapidly. I thought I was getting a phone call.
And that or an Amber Alert, yeah.
I was so confused when I looked at my phone. I'm like, what is happening? What is going on?
Yeah, so that's the story of what happened. Hopefully, I think in the future, I'm pretty sure if you're in a Discord, you're going to get 2 notifications for every episode. One that goes to the YouTube channel proper, and then one that goes to the RSS feed on the YouTube side. But it won't be public on the channel. It's a whole thing. But yeah, it was like, okay, try it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it went a completely different way than I thought it went. But that's new things for you. Speaking of new things, let's do a little catch up here, Brandon. What you been up to, man? Because we haven't really talked in a little bit. We haven't recorded because we did we batch record some of the episodes, so I haven't really spoke to you in a couple weeks. So what have you been doing?
What have I been doing? That's a good question. I don't really know. I got really into Super Smash Bros. For about a weekend, and then I had to stop.
Why did you have to stop?
It was just too addicting.
You recognized that it could take over your life.
It took over my life for like 3 days.
But a glorious 3 days, I bet it was.
Oh, it was. I was kicking everybody's butt, man. It was crazy.
Now, what version of Smash?
Melee. On
Melee.
The GameCube. Yeah.
Oh, man. You went to the GameCube. Okay.
Fox is like a cheat code, dude. With the C stick, you just flick up when like someone's health is already at like 60 something %. You just like shoot them into the sky. That's it. Toast.
Man, Smash is one of the greatest games of all time. There's a great documentary. I think it's like a 10-part like documentary thing. Some YouTube guy made it on the community of when Smash was like a huge thing coming out. Especially or mainly Melee, and it's a fast because so Brandon, yourself and I and Kevin, we were in the movie trivia showdown. That's what like this documentary felt like, but except like it was documentary the showdown, but like it was Smash, like professional Smash players, and it was a pretty good documentary. I got to find it. I'll send you the link. It's really fascinating. Because they had tournaments all over the country and things like that. And Nintendo wasn't exactly keen on that. And they're pretty much responsible for shutting that down. Like, they just were very particular about how their game was to be played and used. And they did not agree with how this community of players was using the game and the money that was being made off of it. And it's really interesting characters too that are of the players. That is really fascinating stuff. I'll have to find the link, and maybe someone out there has already watched it before, but it's a really interesting watch. It's a time capsule too of like that period of time when we were all still so pure and not wrecked with cynicism and whatnot in the world, but whatever. as for myself, like I said up top, up in San Francisco now for 3 months, I'm going to be up here, living out of a hotel, recording all these episodes out of a hotel room now for the next 3 months. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. And I got to get that cord back from home. I got to fly back home and get that cord so I can use my proper camera. This is what I would normally use, right? And I can't even connect, I was really bummed out about that. And now I'm standing as opposed to sitting. So it's different, but it's fine and it's fun. Yeah. So I don't know, Brandon, you're just all watching or playing Smash Bros, which, hey, hell yeah. One thing that I don't know if, I know you're probably a fan of the Heroes Reforged guys, right? Adam, Hector, and Augustine over there.
Good guys.
Well, they just started releasing their reactions to the Ahsoka series because when it came out, obviously the strike, and they were putting their reactions out there. But now they're put
better
out
than us.
I mean, look, there's 3 of them. There's 3 of us. Most times, we're not in competition. It's not a competition. But I certainly love watching their stuff, and I enjoy their takes and appreciate their takes. They're really insightful, entertaining. But they're doing, their Ahsoka reactions now. They're putting them out, and they recorded them in the time when Ahsoka came out. They're not like watching them like a week ago and putting them out. They recorded them in real time as the show was coming out. So it's a real interesting to go back and like revisit some of because they talk about like the theories of Merrick, that was online, all that stuff, and kind of like what they were thinking about. So they're going into it as fresh as, you and I were back when we were watching it originally. And also just a great time to revisit the Ahsoka series if you're looking for a condensed version, because obviously they don't put out the full episode on the YouTube channel, although you could go to their Patreon and have the uncut. But if you have not, if you don't know who the Heroes Reforged guys are, go look them up, watch their stuff. That's really great. But yeah, have you gone back, Brandon, and watched any Ahsoka since it's been off?
I don't know if I have. Like, I watched some of the episodes a few times when they had aired. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't think of the last Star Wars thing I watched, honestly.
You didn't watch my Kill Bill Ahsoka Balin cut? What?
No.
You didn't watch it?
I have not seen it, Frank.
I sent it to the group chat, and you didn't even watch it? It's only 7 minutes and 10 seconds of your time. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's pretty freaking great. I mean, you know what happens, but what I did to it is really, really, I had fun putting it together. And that's all that to say is I can't put it up on YouTube because it will get taken down like immediately. It's blocked. Like, I put it up on my own personal channel just to see what YouTube would do, and they were like, "Nah, no one can see this. Sorry, man." And I was like, "Well, that's what I figured." So what I did was I went to the Wild Wild West, known as TikTok, and posted it in 6 different parts on our TikTok. So if you want to go see that cut that I made in 6 parts, nonetheless, it is on our TikTok channel. Go over there and subscribe to it and follow it, and you can see all 6 parts. Or if you want the whole uncut thing, I can send you a link, but you got to join our Discord to go get it. And then you can DM me in there, and I will send you access to the video file. And it's much better when you watch it unabridged, if you will. And Brandon, I'm gonna, that's your homework for next week. You gotta watch my cut. So, are you a fan of the Kill Bill movies?
I've actually never seen them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then this might be a really interesting watch for you. How it's put together. Well, now you really have to watch it because I really want your thoughts on like what your take on it is. So
yeah, I recently found out that because I was gonna, well, first of all, to go back a second, I was gonna say that Adam Lavick is also a big Halloween fan. I'm a big Halloween fan.
That's right.
I have a Halloween tattoo, if you could see it. I just got this a few months ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I found out that in another podcast that Christopher Nelson, he's the guy that did first of all, he won an Oscar for Suicide Squad, the makeup effects.
The Oscar nominated Suicide Squad, forgot.
Yeah, Oscar winning. And he also did all the mask for the new Halloween movies by David Gordon Green. And I just found out that he also worked on Kill Bill, and he has like a cameo in the movie. So I thought that was really cool. So now I have to go watch to support him because I'm a fan. What can I say?
There you go.
And where else was I gonna go with that? I don't know. Well, that was in a interview with Cosplay Chris Stanley. Go support that channel as well. He does some good stuff. Cool. I was gonna say something else though. Christopher Nelson.
You're gonna say you're gonna watch my cut immediately when you get the chance.
Yes. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say because this is gonna tie to another story. Frank, bear with me.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you might have been there for this. We had a few people over, and another future friend of the show, John Kaiser. He was at the house, and he was telling a story about Tarantino, and he did a Tarantino impression. And then Christopher Nelson in this podcast also did a Tarantino impression when he was telling the story about how he got the role, and they were identical impressions. So it made me think of that. Kaiser? No, but I probably should.
Yeah.
So it makes me believe that, Kaiser's story might have been true. Dang. He might have actually met Quentin Tarantino.
Well, yeah, if your impression's that good, or you could just watch any one of his numerous interviews to learn how to do that. Either you met him, is it an interview impression or is it a real life impression? I guess that's what you're getting at, Brandon.
Yeah, it seems like real life impressions. I don't know.
Real life impressions.
That story had a lot of twists and turns.
Okay.
None of it has anything to do with Star Wars.
No, that's okay.
But that's how my brain works. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And speaking of getting to the show, let's get into talking about the trailer for season 3 of The Bad Batch. We're actually going to watch it right now. This isn't obviously an honest reaction from us. Mm-hmm. We've seen the trailer before. Brandon, you've watched it, right?
I have seen it. Mm-hmm. But I can be like, whoa, we can do one of those thumbnails.
One of those, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're on one side, I'm on the other side, and the picture's in the middle.
Right. We could do that. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's cue up the trailer here, and we're going to hit play if you're ready to go, Brandon.
I am about to press play, but then next to the play button on YouTube is the next button.
Yeah,
and the next suggested video is Kino Loy's monologue from Andor. So I think I'd rather watch that instead.
Mine one of my requested video, the next video is Star Wars Theory getting kicked out of Star Wars Land, apparently. I don't know. I don't know if that's just clickbait or what, but
Hal G Rhythm knows all. What kind of stuff are you watching, Frank?
I sometimes I like to diversify my content consumption, and can't keep the narrow dogmatic view of this borrow a Palpatine phrase.
Oh my God.
Okay, you ready to hit play here in 3?
Episodes. Yes.
2, 1, play.
Hold on. We've got troopers up top.
Again, these visuals are... This animation style is insanely good.
This reminds me a lot of the convex heist.
Yeah,
in Solo a little bit, yeah.
And immediately the music sticks out for me, the Kiners. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Tech. My boy Tech.
Just walk away. Not with the Empire
the stormtroopers in the Clone Wars animation style is cool.
Yeah.
Secure her in a cell.
Hemlock, played by none other than Jimmy Simpson. Jimmy.
I've seen him in person before.
It's not over yet.
Seems nice.
February 21st.
Nothing of greater importance to secure the future of this empire.
If you would have told me we're still getting more Ian McDermott portraying Palpatine in 2024, I wouldn't believe you.
I feel like early days Palpatine says the term "this empire" a lot, like the survival, the future of this empire. Fennec Shand, Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, yeah. I thought that was a pop for me.
Give us a real challenge.
That's right, Rucker. trailer music is awesome.
We're not big on following orders.
Look at a little bit of a Rambo moment.
Yeah.
With the knife.
Planning on killing you, but you're making it very tempting.
I mean, come on, man.
Ooh. The hair. She has hair.
She has hair. Man.
She's like a Night Sister, right? Like that's her thing.
Yeah, she's from Dathomir.
Yeah, she's from Dathomir, which means, does that mean that Darth Maul could grow a head of hair if he wants to?
You know what? I would love to see a Zabrak. I think, is he a Zabrak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Species name. Just horns and hair. H&H. You know, I love to see someone render a drawing, an illustration of a Zabrak with hair and just horns sticking out. That'd be weird. Yeah, that trailer, man, and it really reminded me. I don't know about you, Brandon, but how much I've grown to love this show from season 1, where I was like, it's fine. Season 2, I was like, man, this is getting pretty good. And now season 3, I can't wait for this third season to come out, Brandon.
Yeah, it's something that I probably would have never watched if we weren't covering it on the show.
Sure.
But like, I definitely have enjoyed it. And I was talking to another future friend of the show, Garrett McDowell, the other day. Yeah. And we were kind of talking about how like season 2 in particular, like seemed to have like, because it was like airing like around the same time as Andor, and it seemed like to have like a lot of parallels, like thematically, with like the politics of the Empire and things like that kind of like went hand in hand, that I really appreciated.
Yeah, and I think I've heard other people talk about this too, that kind of when Bad Batch season 2 was coming out, it was in the midst of Mandalorian as well, and it kind of would get a little overshadowed by it, because both would come out that Wednesday morning, midnight, whatever, and most people would watch Mandalorian and then maybe not watch Bad Batch. I think we were I was one of the few people who were like, I'm doing back to back, or you'd figure out, I'm going to watch Bad Batch first and then The Mandalorian. But that said, I think Bad Batch coming out in its own time without having to come out alongside another Star Wars show, I think is good for the show, and hopefully it gets more eyes, because I think if the Star Wars animation has shown us anything, whether it's Clone Wars or Rebels, Resistance notwithstanding, the themes get a little bit more mature, and I think it matures with the intended audience it starts out with, and it grows along with that beginning audience, but still able to relate to its the children aspect of it. But even with that said, though, there's still a lot of great stuff in these past 2 seasons, and now this third season. I'm really, really interested in like the Mount Tanta stuff and Omega and Crosshair. And it seems to, shows like this and Mandalorian seem to like start laying these little nuggets to tie into whether it's the original trilogy or the sequel trilogy. Do you pick up on that, Brandon, or where you find like, oh, this could lead to that, or do you start entertaining those ideas?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen like a lot of stuff in like Star Wars TV that is slowly building its way up to the sequel trilogy. I think like the story, like it's enough to stand on its own, but it also like has those little nuggets of information that make you kind of like take like a second look. So that's fun. Like that's always fun to like connect the dots. And as someone who wasn't 100% happy with some of the things in The Rise of Skywalker, yeah. I enjoy like the world building around it. It's like how a lot of people say that like the Clone Wars animated series made the prequels better, because it like, yeah, it really like fleshes out those like characters and those ideas. You actually get to see Obi-Wan and Anakin like be like brothers and things like that. Or as opposed to if you just watch the movies, just kind of like say like, oh, you were my brother. And it was like, when did that happen? Like you guys just kind of like right. hung out sometimes. Yeah, it's, sorry, I'm very tired today. But I can be like won over, with all this like, oh, the Emperor is working on secret cloning projects and maybe we'll eventually get to see like him go to like Exegol, like outside of the comic books, and like get more about that. And I don't know. So
yeah, I think especially like the cloning thing. I think they're really even extends to Mandalorian. You know, when they were on I forget the name of the planet now, but in Mandalorian, you know, they go to that Imperial outpost. And you see a bunch of, even in the last season of Mandalorian with Gideon and all his clones. So like there's that aspect. And then with Mount Tantus, and even in this trailer with Palpatine talking about, you know, it's like of utmost importance that this, you know, we see this through. I'm wondering if we're getting a lot more Palpatine than we've ever gotten in this season than we ever have, because you had a decent chunk in that trailer, you know, that dialogue in the trailer. I was kind of surprised we got like that much from Palpatine, because usually he's just, you know, that shadowy figure. You don't really hear about him or see from him a little bit. You did a little bit last season, obviously, and in shows like Andor, they allude to him, but they never show him. You know, I thought that's kind of like how Palpatine would be used, but with animation, you can do a lot more, obviously. If you wanted to use him a lot more, it's easier to do that. Although I think Ian McDiarmid would show up for Andor, and maybe he will in season 2 of Andor at some point, even for a little bit. But I think it could potentially further underscore that even at this point in the Empire's timeline or reign, that Palpatine is devising a contingency plan that would enable him to live on in a clone of some sort, you know? And I think that could really bolster the sequel trilogy in terms of somehow Palpatine returned. Although that may never, you know, be won over for a lot of people, and that's fine. But I think it's still, I think the writers and the storytellers here, you know, they see like, oh, there's stuff we can do to tie into that, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I think it will, because Mount Tantus and Hemlock is a guy that really won me over in terms of villain last season, and so I'm excited to see what he does and what he has in store for Omega. Do you have any thoughts on like Hemlock, Emery, and like that whole and Omega? Any thoughts or predictions on what you think might happen with their dynamic?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, like I guess it does make sense, like when you're thinking about like, oh, Palpatine being in the Bad Batch of all places, it does make sense when you know like the story of like Mount Tantus, and like it's all about like the cloning and things like that, and why that would be of interest to Palpatine. And like I kind of get the vibe that like he like only like shows his face when he like absolutely has to, and most of the time he just kind of like delegates running the Empire to like other people while he's like working on his like fun little projects. He's like, I am the Emperor, I can do whatever I want. But yeah, no, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like, you know, like Omega, she's basically like the female like Boba Fett, right? Like she, like her like DNA is like what they can use to make like another clone army if they wanted to.
Right.
Like, it's like the like genetic code of like Jango Fett, and it's like pure. It's
not as watered down.
Is like in there, yeah. But maybe we'll find out that there's like more to Omega specifically. Maybe like that was their first attempt at like doing a Force sensitive thing. Like I don't know. And that's one of the reasons why she's the main reason, maybe why she's so important. But yeah, I think we'll see maybe more of that, and like I think Crosshair will like fully redeem himself, and probably at the expense of his own life at some point to save Omega, which is like, it's pretty paint by numbers, but like you love to see it. I love a good redemption arc, you know.
Sure.
I love it when the guy who was bad becomes good. That's always been like my thing in TV shows. Like,
I mean, it's like a huge Star Wars theme. Like, yeah. So I mean, you talk about paint by numbers. It doesn't get any more paint by numbers than that.
Yeah, that was like always like my thing. I don't know why. Like, if there's a bad guy in a show, I'm like, oh, I hope he becomes good. Good side. Yeah. But yeah, so I think we'll see some of that, and yeah, I don't know. I don't have any like super bold predictions outside of that. I don't really know which way this story is gonna go, because obviously, like, Palpatine's gonna have some success with the cloning operations. So. Yeah,
I really don't know like how they're going to wrap this up and I don't think like they're actually gonna wrap it. I mean, you can't really wrap it up unless you have Wrecker and Hunter and everyone else perish, which I don't think they're gonna do that. I know other people out there are bracing for the worst, preparing for the worst, but I don't think they're gonna do that with these characters, and I think there's and let me know if you agree with this, Brandon. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking Wrecker, Hunter, hopefully Tech. I am thinking Tech is going to come back, and people seem to think maybe in a resurrected sense or a clone sense. I think Joseph Scrimshaw talked about that on Force Center. Like maybe he's back, but he's like, he's just a clone of his. He looks like Tech, but he doesn't have all of Tech's experiences and whatnot. I think there's nothing wrong with having our Bad Batch and Omega settling on some unknown planet and living out the rest of their days in peace, even though there's still a galactic civil war going out there that they're not a part of. And I think it's okay for me. I think it'd be okay to just let them sit this one out. What do you think?
Yeah, hopefully like Tech is in like some sort of like Winter Soldier situation. Like, yeah. I mean, it's pretty like on the nose. Like, oh, he fell like off of like a train in the snow.
It's the exact thing. It's the exact thing. Yeah.
He disappeared. Oh, but yeah, I think like we'll see. Like I think Crosshair is gonna die, and I mean, hopefully nobody else. Hopefully Tech comes back and he's like, oh guys, I'm fine. I just like fell in the snow and it was really thick, so I was cushioned.
Yeah.
I think we'll see them like, I don't know if they'll retire necessarily, like just because like I feel like they would want to be involved in like helping other clones, and I think maybe by proxy, like how we saw like in Obi-Wan, I think it was called like the Path. They like helped like Force sensitive kids.
Yes.
I think I could see them like helping the cause in like that kind of a capacity.
That would be cool.
Like,
yeah.
Behind the scenes, like laying low, doing what they can to help clones or Force sensitive kids in particular. Like, especially like with whatever's going on with Omega, like there's already that kind of like of connection.
Yeah, I do like the idea that they're not in the galactic fight, but they're in their own fight, and it's for their own personal reasons. They've fought enough for the Republic or whoever, they've fought enough for other people, and now they're fighting for themselves or for people that it's on their own terms. I think going forward, which would be cool to see. Because when they have characters like, as young as Omega is at this point in the timeline, there's always going to be people who are going to go, okay, well, if I do the math here, 30, 40 years later, she'd be this, blah, 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 and where is she then, And I think, which is a legitimate question to ask, but I think also at the same time, it's okay that we don't know, because I'd rather have them leave the character alone and you can come up with your own headcanon. But if someone over at Lucasfilm comes up with a story idea, and I think they operate on this mode anyways, if they got a good story to tell, they'll bring back a character, which leads me to Asajj Ventress, right? So they must have an interesting take on Asajj Ventress to bring her back into the Bad Batch, which also, by the way, I guess, I'm guessing you didn't read Dark Disciple.
No.
Right. Neither did I. And Asajj Ventress actually is a really interesting character. She's never like my favorite character, but I always liked when she popped up. I was like, oh, things are about to get really, really interesting with Asajj Ventress around. And I liked kind of the chaos that she might bring or the uncertainty, right? And so when she popped up at the end of this trailer, I was like, what? Like, I don't know what happened to her after the Clone Wars because I didn't read Dark Disciple, and so I'm like, okay, she's still around, cool. She looks badass, right? The hair, the yellow sabers, and all that stuff. And then StarWars.com comes out with a statement about Asajj Ventress popping up, And let's see here. Just going to read it for posterity's sake because I know everyone's heard it. But it says, "We love Asajj Ventress. She's a character that we've been wanting to tell more stories about." Brad Rouse, supervising director and one of the executive producers of the series, tells StarWars.com. And he makes clear that her return will honor prior tales, including the book in which the character apparently perished. Quote, "We don't want to spoil anything, but want fans to know that any new storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of Star Wars Dark Disciple." Now, for someone who's never read Dark Disciple, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I need to know more. And so when I go to the Wikipedia page, apparently Dark Disciple was part of the Clone Wars Legacy Multimedia Initiative. The book was originally published in 2015, so it's almost like July 2015, so it's almost 9 years old, this book. But Dark Disciple is based on an 8-part story arc that was scripted for the Star Wars, the Clone Wars television series, comprising the episodes Lethal Alliance, The Mission, Conspirators, Dark Disciple, Saving Voss Part 1, Saving Voss Part 2, Traitor, and the 8th one, The Path, which is an interesting, if not coincidental, titling. Because I don't know, I never read Dark Disciple. I don't know how that ties in. I don't know what The Path originally was going to be for the Clone Wars. Maybe it is just a coincidental titling.
We know that in Obi-Wan, it is mentioned that Quinlan Voss was involved in The Path at some point.
Right, and the other thing is, what I don't know is, was there a mention of something like that in this scripted or unpublished, unfinished script of the Clone Wars? Was that? I don't know that because I haven't, read the book or read up on anything else like that. So I don't know if that's the same thing or a different thing, but just coincidental. Either way, it would, you bring up Quinlan Voss and he's in Dark Disciple, and apparently him and Ventress have a thing going on there, and which was pretty cool actually. And then given the fact that Voss is mentioned in the Obi-Wan with The Path, does Ventress tie into it? Because also, by the way, Dark Disciple takes place in 20 BBY, which is during the time, which is before actually the events of when Ahsoka is getting booted from the Jedi Academy. That's when this book takes place, and that's the time frame in which Asajj apparently perishes. But we talked earlier, Dathomir, Night Sisters. Everyone seems to think the most logical way to bring back someone like her who has died in the book is through Night Sister magic, and we've kind of seen this, again, a little seed of what Night Sister magic can do in Ahsoka and resurrecting basically a dead army, right? Well, why couldn't you do the same thing to Asajj Ventress and bring her back? And maybe it's like, maybe she has like a ticking clock. I only have, 1 week before I'm bones in the ground again. Or maybe she's back until she, gets sliced and diced again. I don't know. But I'm really curious about what part she's going to play in season 3, Brandon. You have any ideas of what they could do with Asajj Ventress?
I have no idea. I'm just excited for the hair and the yellow lightsaber. Fair enough. Maybe she's one of the people that founded the Path. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. I think they're gonna have some sort of logical and universe reason why she's not dead. I'm gonna wait and find out.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it too, because this is one of those things where I was thinking about, well, maybe I'll read the book or at least listen to it. I'm gonna have some time out here, But I also want to do a rewatch of Bad Batch seasons 1 and 2 and the arc in the last season of Clone Wars. So maybe I'll get hopefully I'm going to try and dive into that stuff so I have some other context going into when these characters pop up and see. I'm doing a little more. It wants me. Here's what it's done, Brandon. It's want me to go back and investigate what I've missed out on, so I'm up to date. Does that happen to you too from time to time when you see like something comes out, you go, okay, they got me. I'm going to go back and read whatever.
I at the very least read like the Wikipedia pages or something. Like I just want to know the information.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a show, then it's like easy to like sit down and like watch like a clip or an episode or something. But,
yeah. And with Asajj coming back from the dead, obviously this takes place before Kenobi or right around Kenobi. I'm not too sure on the timeline, but either way, you would think Quinlan is still alive. So I'm wondering if we're going to see Quinlan Voss in this show, because wouldn't Asajj want to go find Quinlan, or could Quinlan be the one to help resurrect Asajj? There's a lot of these theories that are being floated out there in terms of how to bring Asajj back. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. And if Asajj is just like, I can't go after Dooku because he's gone, but Palpatine's still around. Maybe, she still has some of that dark side, vengeance side in her to go after Palpatine and help the Bad Batch in whatever mission they have. And maybe I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting. And I'm excited that, they said, they've wanted to tell more stories for her. So I don't know that she's actually going to perish in this show. But who knows? I mean, she could pop up in a comic line. Like if they did a past comic line with Quinlan, and then like here comes Asajj and an Elder Jedi, or I think I've seen someone out there mention Kelleran Beck as well. Like that would be really, really cool.
The sabered hand.
All right, well, Brandon, I'm going to ask you one last question. Give me a percentage on how confident or not confident you are that Tech will return as like the Tech we know.
I don't know. I mean, he's definitely going to return in some capacity. I don't think you'd do that to a character and then just be like, no, they're actually dead. It's like, no, why didn't you like make it more conclusive? He was beloved. So I think he's definitely going to come back with some capacity. I don't know. I think there's like a 75% chance that he's like full blown reprogrammed Winter Soldier, like freight car, like blueberries, trains, whatever the words are. I don't know.
Rhubarb.
If Kevin were here, he would be able to tell us.
Yeah, he would. I think it's pretty high. I think I'm going 95%. I'm going 95% that Tech is coming back. And I think, he will be Winter Soldier, but then they'll have to they'll figure out a way how to deprogram him.
I hope he goes, good soldiers follow orders.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's going to say it just like that.
All right. Well, on that note, subscribe to the channel. Hit like on the button. Help us get to 700 subscribers. Right? I think we're at like 620 something now. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Yeah, hit the
go to my channel and get me to 600 because I just hit 500.
Hey, look at that. That's awesome.
It's on the page. If you go to the channels, friends of the show, blah, 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 it's in there.
There you go. Yeah. And then...
please,
what can I say? Subscribe to the podcast feed. Hit up our Discord. Ask me for my Kill Bill Ahsoka Balin version cut. It's pretty fun to watch, if I say so myself. Got some good feedback on it, actually. Brandon's gonna go and watch it right now, right after this.
I feel like as like a group, we have a lot of cuts where they're like, "Yo, you want the cut? You want the episode 3 cut? You want the Obi-Wan cut? Like, I got the cut. Like, you send me a DM."
I was telling, I think in our Kevin or in our group chat, I was like, I'd be cool being like Topher Grace, where he has his own episode or prequel cut, where he condenses everything. I was like, and he just only shows it to friends and whatnot. I'm like, I'm cool with doing that. Like, hey, you want to see it? Hey, here's a link, man. Here's a link. Check it out. Because I actually have ideas for 2 other types of edits I want to make. I'm working on a new one right now. Actually, I'm formulating the idea. It's gestating. It's in the gestation period right now, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. Kill Bill is a more broad brush to paint with in terms of concept and like how the video is modeled after. This one is going to be a little bit more niche, but when it comes out, it's going to be really cool, I think. Hopefully, if I can do it the way that I want to do it. But enough of that talk, enough of that teasing. Thanks for joining us here on Scoundrels Inc. this week. Next week, we're going to be trying to talk about the most impactful deaths in Star Wars. What are yours? Let us know in the comments down below. But until next time, I have been Frank Janish. That was Brandon, Hollywood Hannah, and we will see you all next week.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.